Okay, we're live.
Everyone, and welcome back to the Spartans Have Spoken podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Weingarten. Kind of mourning because I'm no longer going to be the first ever Metro Detroit Survivor winner, but wow, Rachel actually did it. She's officially the 47th winner of Survivor. Good for her. Let's go, Metro Detroit. I'm joined as always by everyone's favorite dog sitter. We have Ava Bella. Ava, how are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm dog sitting, so I'm in another location. I feel like every week you see me in a different place. I'm still in Vegas though. I haven't left the hometown, but I am now at a different location. I can show you the dog. That's Gia. Hopefully she's working. She's very
For sure. Well, we have Miss Vegas over here, Mr. Chicago, also with Asian Persuasion. Jacob, what's going on, Jacob?
What's up, Brian? Excuse my tiredness a little bit, just a little bit hungover here on a Monday, so sorry about that. We did a Secret Santa gift exchange last night. I could show off the gifts that I got. Boom, fire making challenge.
Wow.
Flint and steel, and wait for this banger. Oh, machete! What am I gonna do with a machete in Chicago without getting arrested? I don't know, but
we want to find out.
We'll keep it up as a prop. Maybe this machete will come in handy for the podcast. I don't know.
How expensive was that machete?
I don't know. The budget was supposed to be $20, but I think this went over the budget.
Yeah.
I think so.
So you're gonna practice picking fire from now on?
Oh yeah. I mean, when I'm on that island, I'm not gonna be like Sam, somebody who never practiced before going on, even though he won, which was the best part of the finale. If we already wanted to get into it, that was so. I mean, just how exciting that was. That was so exciting. But yeah, I'm gonna be practicing fire every day. I might get arrested, guys. If I don't show up for the podcast, it's because I'm in jail because I made a fire in the backyard.
Gotcha. Yeah. So next podcast, if Jacob's no longer on, he is in jail. We'll do a GoFundMe to raise money.
Yes, please. I know all you fans out there will sauce a few bucks for it.
Going well. If not, Leo's gonna be really disappointed. Yeah. Guess you can maybe teach us how to make fire on a podcast coming up. Who knows?
So, wait, I guess it's gonna come teach us how to make fire.
I think you can teach us how to make
fire. Sure. Yeah, we'll do that for an upcoming podcast. We'll schedule it.
And you versus Christian fire making challenge. It'll be perfect.
Is Christian's? I really, as big of a Survivor fan as I am, I don't know how to make fire. So, I know the basics, but I've never actually done it. So we'll see.
For sure. Yeah. Let's talk about that episode because wow, she actually did it. Rachel's officially the 47th winner of Survivor. Wow.
Woo! 3 people winners in a row.
First time since the stretch of Sophie, Kim, and Denise. We have 3 straight female winners. First person who currently is living in Metro Detroit to win Survivor. She actually did it. Wow. I thought something crazy was going to happen in part 2. Just kept on going up to what happened in part 1. Rachel's officially the winner of Survivor. What do you think?
I am so happy for her. I think she played a dominant game compared to the other 3, especially compared to Sue and Teeny. But I feel like even compared to Sam, Sam did a really great job surviving, and I think if he was just up against Sue and Teeny, he would have won. But I think compared to Rachel really had a lot of authority in what she was doing, especially late merge and late game. And I think she 100% deserved it. And obviously, you could see it on my little nameplate at the end of last episode that I was begging for my female winner, and I got it. And Rachel was clearly the best winner out of the women left, so I'm very happy for her.
For sure. Jacob, what did you think about Rachel pulling out and winning the entire thing?
Yeah, as the season was going on, my favorites were Andy and then Genevieve. Those were my 2 favorites of the season. And so after they were voted out back to back, I was disappointed. I think I was more emotional about it, being oh, Rachel might not be that great of a winner. But after she wins and thinking back on it, Rachel really played a fantastic game in my opinion. She played the perfect new era game of just being able to, because a new era game, you can't win playing like Tony. I don't think you can't win playing like Russell. Obviously, you can't win playing those huge flashy games. Rachel played the perfect new era game of just being able to stay not in complete control, but just have control over her positioning and just always staying safe and dominating challenges and getting the advantages. And she did about as good of a job as we've seen any new player do. I think the new era player. I think the only winner you could argue that could be as good as Rachel is D. I think they're the 2 best of the new era, though, for sure.
I agree for sure. Though I will say you brought up an interesting point. You don't think someone like Tony or Russell could do well in the new era? Ever since season 41 happened, we've only really seen a few really dominant players. Jesse was obviously very dominant. I think you can argue D was really dominant. We've had really few people be dominant from start to finish. Do you think that's something that's going to be retired from Survivor? Or do you think it will happen in the near future?
I think is different because Jesse was like as dominant as he was strategically. He was very behind the scenes for most of the season. Like he wasn't an in-your-face player. He was making more subtle strategic moves and blindsides. While maybe Cody was taking more social pressure. Where like Tony and Russell were just always consistently in people's faces. Everyone knew they were the ones leading their alliances. D was leading her alliance, but she also had like 3 other people all with her. Leading the alliance together, and she ended up outsmarting them by the end. So I think that the formula of playing super aggressive Boston Rob, Tony, Kim, Russell is just kind of over because you start playing that game. How are you not going to be targeted? How you're not going to be voted out? Everybody's too smart. Everybody's watched too much Survivor.
Yeah, I think that's part of it is that like I feel like especially like in the newer era, like everybody who's on the show is a fan of the show. I very rarely see people like on Survivor these days that are like, I never saw it. Like I was just reached out by a casting director and I thought, let me just do this fun little silly thing. Like everybody who's there knows the show. They know what they want to play like. They have a plan, and whether or not that plan comes to fruition is obviously up for discussion on each individual person. But I think people are such fans of the show that like if you were to play that, like I am pulling every single string from day 1 to day 39, which obviously it's not 39 days anymore, but if you were to do that, you would get targeted because everybody has seen the show. There's not anybody I feel like in the new era that they're casting who's kind of just like a clueless follower. I think everybody has, even if you're not a good player, you know what makes a good player, and whether you're doing it or not, like obviously who's to say, but you know what makes a good player. So if you're seeing somebody pull the strings the entire time, like you're not going to let them get to the end unless they win every single immunity challenge, which is highly unlikely.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a new metric in Survivor with this much improved casting format. When you saw some like a season like Redemption Island or like South Pacific, most of the cast have never seen the show before. They just got recruited online, trying to like make their name for TV, trying to end up in Riverdale or be a cheerleader for the LA Clippers. You never know. But now you're actually casting people who want to play Survivor, huge fans of the show, so they're not going to let this strategy happen. I still think you're going to be able to see dominant players. I still consider Jesse one of the best players of all time. I think D's really much up there as well. But you have to be really strategic now because we do it too much up front, you're going to get caught. Though it is interesting because we do have Rachel who maybe played a little bit like Ben Driebergen or Mike Holloway.
That was who pointed that out on the jury?
That was Andy.
Yeah, it was Andy.
Okay.
Yeah, my mouth dropped.
I was like, oh.
Do you guys think that Rachel's played like Mike and Ben?
I actually saw that tweet online before the episode, which I think it's a really interesting take. I think when you look at Rachel, you think of something one like a Sophie Clark, kind of like a little bit nerdy, a little bit not openly outward socially, but really smart, strategic person who was surprisingly good at physical challenges. Ben and Mike are 2 of Jeff's favorite players of all time. Very good at challenges, very good like just playing on the bottom. I wouldn't necessarily think Rachel was exactly like them as a person, but I think their games are kind of similar to a little bit.
I think there's similarities. I think I might have been cheating on you guys and listening to RHAP. I think Adam mentioned something about how Ben and Mike had no other outs besides winning immunity, and I don't think Rachel was quite in that desperate of a situation as Ben and Mike. Whereas, like at the final 5, if she didn't win that immunity, there's still a good chance they vote out Genevieve instead of Rachel. I'm pretty sure they would have, honestly. And like at final 6, yes, she lost the challenge. She had the idol. Final 7, she would have gone home with Operation Italy. That was a very special circumstance where it was a 3-2-2 vote split. Ben and Mike would have just been unanimously voted out like almost every time they didn't win immunity. So I think it's definitely different. Rachel didn't have as bad of a social game as Ben or Mike.
And I don't think she was on the bottom the entire time. Like she definitely had like a lot of moments where like she was like, I'm getting up there, and then she got blindsided by Andy. And like many moments where she was like on the wrong side of the votes or ended up like kind of on the bottom. But I think she still had like enough social capital that like she put together a group of 5 like at one point. They didn't last very long because Andy was like, peace, see ya. But she had like enough agency to get people together at certain times. She wasn't always, able to pull everybody together, but I think compared to the other 2, like she had a little bit more social capital.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think Rachel's probably the most strategic of the 3 of them. She obviously understands the game the best. So even though she was on the bottom, she was able to put herself out of the bottom through different ways. Mike and Ben are kind of just a little bit more one-dimensional players. They don't have this much strategic savviness as Rachel. So I think that's why Rachel was able to get out of the situations. But let's go a little bit back. Let's talk about the episode. We have a very interesting Final Four challenge. It almost seemed like the Final 5 challenge should have been the Final 4 challenge, and the Final 4 challenge should have been the Final 5 challenge. Kind of like an obstacle course type situation. What do you think about that being the Final Immunity challenge?
It wasn't. What's the one? Samotion. I like Samotion. They did it so many years in a row. It drove me mad. I was like, yes, it's not Samotion. I was watching with my dad, and he's like, it wasn't the weird ball one. We were both so excited.
I love Samotion. Samotion's like the perfect final challenge, though.
No,
See, I think the perfect
it's
final
boring to watch. It's boring. All they're doing is standing there, and the balls are swirling. It's ended the same way.
It's intense. Anyone can win. I feel like I knew Rachel was gonna win because it ended with the bat puzzle.
I mean, yeah, but it was just I was just happy it was a Samotion. I liked what they did last season though with the Plinko board type thing and the puzzle.
That challenge is awesome.
Back to that, but I'm glad it wasn't Samotion. That's all I'm gonna say.
If you brought up an interesting point, Jacob, you brought up an interesting point saying Samotion's the best Final Immunity challenge.
I never said it was the best. I said it was really. Maybe I did say that, but but I said it. I just really like it. I really like it.
I think the perfect Final Immunity challenge is something we have not done in a while.
What?
In the Idol. Literally just doing nothing. How bad do you want it? That's what I think the Final Immunity challenge should be.
That's true. Australian Survivor does that. No spoilers, but they do that, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they do. I believe you saw Australian Survivor season 1.
Yeah, that's where they did it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so simple. How bad do you want it? It's all about the game. Who wants me to be the most?
That's true. That is the perfect final challenge.
We haven't had anything like that in a while. I just want to see how in the new era, something we've not seen like in almost 20 years. Literally do nothing but put your hand on a statue. How long can you stand? Look, I want to see that.
I feel like with new era players, people who like this is their dream their entire lives, like people will be on that for like 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like I know if I was there for $1 million to win Survivor, like it would take killing me to get off of that idol.
Do you think it would be longer than the Buoy challenge in Survivor Palau, which is currently the longest challenge in Survivor history?
I think it could be very well.
They're also probably, I don't know. People are smart. They'll try to like play mind games and try to make deals and stuff. So maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I will say I think it would go on for over 24 hours, but it's just me.
That'd be
We did see on Big Brother Ava pressure cooker come back. Lasted only a few minutes less than the original, which is like 15, 16 hours. So you never know.
That's why they don't do it, because they're scared it'll last too long. Because they only have 26 days and they're always about the budget now. So if it goes like
that's true.
Goes like an extra day, they're not going to be able to plan for that.
They're gonna be like, you're gonna have the breakfast right here. We got to keep it moving, guys.
Imagine going straight into fire after that. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
And Survivor, they never know. So obviously Rachel won the challenge. It was a very interesting level of obstacle courses. I just wonder, should the person who wins Final Immunity be rewarded for knowing how to solve a bat puzzle, or something more like mental?
I liked it. I mean, I've been, especially like, what was it? Like there were 4 or 5 like challenges that were just like standstill endurance challenges. And I was like, give me an obstacle course, give me an obstacle course. So what I don't understand is why they didn't intermix them. Like it felt like it was like endurance, obstacle course, the end. Like why didn't they mix and match? Like I feel like this was not the perfect Final Immunity challenge, but it was a good challenge. So I just don't know why they like ordered them the way they did, I guess.
It was really funny seeing Teeny struggle with that machete. Because Jacob, you can now prep for the machete also, not just to fire. So hey. Why was Teeny struggling so much in that part? Because like Sam got it like right away. Teeny just was on that for like 20. It looked like 20 minutes. Like
that was foreshadowing to Teeny not being able to burn the rope.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, obviously, at the end of the day, Rachel wins Final Immunity. She does exactly what I would do. Tell them right away. They can sue to the end. Teeny, Sam, good luck. You two can make fire. I love that approach so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It worked.
Rachel didn't need to do anything else. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Saying that she could have done other things. She could have like brought Sam to the end, make him look like a goat. She could have taken the necklace off. It literally didn't matter. She was gonna win in any scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious. If you two were playing Survivor and you win Final Immunity, would you ever consider going to the fire, or would you always try to be safe?
I guess it depends on like where I feel like I'm at in the game, but like I would say no, I wouldn't go to fire. I don't think I could make fire. So like I don't know that would be like the move for me unless I was like, wow, my game is absolute dog shit. Like it's terrible. I need something. Like perhaps Sue would have been smart to go to fire. But I feel like if you think you have any like agency at all and like any ability to win, like unless you're really confident in fire, like that would not be me. I could practice fire every day from now until 10 years from now if I'm on the show, and I still don't think I would be able to do it very well. So like for me, I don't think that would make sense, and I think in very few circumstances it does make sense for players usually. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the only scenario where I'd really want to do it is if there's somebody in that Final Four who I think just will like clean sweep the jury against me, and I'm not like confident in anybody else's abilities to make fire. Like I will practice making fire before going out there, and if I think I'm the one who can beat that person, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, Jacob, I agree with you completely. I think when the new era, I think people have to stop thinking about making big moves and focus on making smart moves. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Chris Underwood did it. He won the season. I would have voted for Gavin if he made that very publicly. But I do think realistically, you should only go to fire if you believe you're the best fire maker of the Final Four. Yeah. Heidi did that in her season. She ended up winning fire against Carson. But if you are not confident in your fire abilities at all, don't go to fire. Just go to the end, play your game. You play the game for 24 days prior to day 25.
Yeah.
Show them you played the best game for 24 days. Don't just show them by making fire, which again, it's nothing to do without winning. The thing I'll doing it without lasting. You can say you outplayed them by making fire, but does that really translate to this 3 aspects of Survivor?
So.
Yeah.
The move that I would want to pull off, which would be hard to pull off, it'd have to be a special circumstance, would be if I won immunity and there's somebody I wanted out in fire. If I had a good relationship with them, that's the circumstance. Like I would have to have a really good relationship with them. I would go back to camp and I would do what Rachel did. I would be like, I am taking this person to the end and putting you 2 at fire. And so the other 2 are practicing fire. And the person I say that I'm taking to the end is actually the person I want out. And so then I put them in fire. They go the whole day without practicing and boom, they're in the fire making challenge.
Would that work now?
I don't know. But it's kind of that happens. If I go on the show and I do that, you heard it here first.
Jacob has put it here in Spartans Unspoken podcast first. If he tells someone they're safe and ends up putting them in fire, Jacob's
revolutionary. That's Jacob move
for sure. So obviously we see Timmy and Sam making fire. Sam has never made fire before in his entire life.
What was he doing for the last 24 days? That's my question. Like, okay, I would be terrible at it, but at some point in the last 24 days, I would have attempted to make fire. I wouldn't just never try. What? I'm confused.
Yeah. If I ever get cast in Survivor, there are 3 things I'm going to do before I even go on the island. 1, I'd start fasting, do a 12 to 16 hour fast. Malcolm did that in his seasons, helped to get more adjacent to starving on an island. 2, tons of cardio. Actually, 4 things. 3, puzzles every single day of my life.
Yeah.
And 4, make fire so much until I know how to make fire. Like you have to. Especially in this game, you never want to be the person who gets out in fire. You want to be able to win. Because if you are in the Final Four and you know how to make fire, automatically win the Final Tribal Council, no matter what you do in the Final Immunity Challenge. So knowing how to make fire is so important. Sam, you're a student in the game. You're a super fan. Come on, bro. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it is weird. I mean, I wonder how much time he had before going out there, but still, he knows when his filming is. Like, he should have practiced some fire for sure.
Yeah, that's silly.
Yeah.
Poor Sam. He said in the episode he was scared of people talking about that. Here we are.
And look what happens. Then they get a classic. Oh, go ahead, Ava.
I said he won the fire making, so we can't heckle him too much, but it was a little silly, Sam. Come on.
We get a classic Survivor montage showing Timmy knowing how to make fire. Sam.
I was like, this is obvious. Sam's going to win the fire challenge. They do it every time. Every time the person who doesn't know how to make fire wins. Every
single time. Or the person you think it's too good to be true. You're like, yeah, they're not gonna win. But hey, Sam won. Like, wow.
Michael Wallace actually brings up a good point in the comments, because I was just talking about making fire, and I can't do it because I'm in the city, and Sam's also in Chicago, so it doesn't make sense. But unless Sam wanted to get arrested with me.
Hey, you can meet up with him and you can both make fire now and both go to jail together.
Yeah, true.
Hey, having Sam as a jailmate would be fantastic.
And pretty fun.
Yeah, it would just be like Diddy and Luigi. So ironic. Let's just say,
compare me to Diddy and Luigi. That's crazy.
Let's just say it was a classic, 80s movie montage. Sam getting the help from his father's letter. Showing letters can be helpful in Survivor, I guess. Don't really agree with it, but it could be helpful. Them both ready to make fire. The two go into maybe one of the most entertaining fire challenges of all time.
Okay, this fire challenge, like, it kind of pissed me off because it's like not that Teeny was going to win the game. So it's like, it is what it is. It wasn't like it was some dominant player. Like, if it was Genevieve, I'd be up in arms, let me tell you. But like, they had fire first. So they lost because the wind blew the other direction. Like, I kind of feel like this might be like CBS. Do we really want people losing the game over the wind?
Well, I mean, you're obviously not wrong. Teeny lost because of the wind. Teeny would have won in almost any other circumstance. But like, there's so much luck that goes into anything in Survivor. Teeny could have stood up in front of the fire and tried to block the wind if they had the presence of mind to think of that. It wasn't. Yeah, if I was Teeny, I would still be crying about it to this day. But I don't think that that's something that we should be up in arms about. Obviously, though, if it was a player who was going to win the game, the community would be like ridiculous. It would be a riot.
Poor Teeny. I will say, in Edge of Extinction, I believe they went to the booth because it was so windy out. Why'd they just not do that?
I don't think it was all that windy until suddenly, like, it's luck. I get it. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but I do think, like, I'm not a fan of forced fire making, and I feel like this is one of the circumstances where I'm like, it was like such luck based of what was happening. Like, it becomes no longer like who can make fire better. It's like who gets lucky with the fire, and so now I feel like it's almost a coin flip at the Final Four. Like, I don't know. I'm not a forced fire making fan. Can we just get a vote back, please? That'd be great.
So Jeff actually talked about this week. Him defending the fire making challenge.
Who?
I kind of disagree with Jeff on this. I just think it makes fire. It takes out a really important part of Survivor. And Survivor goes into the Final Four, goes to the Final Tribal Council. Every other round has a vote. Yes. His logic is there's plenty of people who got out at 4. There's people that we all love. Malcolm, David Wright, I don't even know. Other great Final Four boots. Keith Nail, rest in peace.
No, that was before that was the first fire.
So I'm just a little bit confused. So his logic is he wants to give people at Final Four a chance to win the game. It's essentially just saying, from a producer standpoint, they want the better player to win the game, which I completely understand. From a fan of Survivor standpoint, in the game itself, you're taking away a really important part of the game just to possibly enhance that. And I'm just like, I don't think it should say. I think it needs to go. It needs to go.
I think it needs to go. I hate it. I hate the fire making challenge. I think it's so stupid. And as the fire making challenge continues, if you don't want to let the big threat get to fire making, and then they're just going to take them out at 5 instead of 4 like in the past. Like, you're just going to keep going. And then they'll probably do like a fire making challenge at Final 5 instead, and then they'll start going out at 6. All Survivor's just fire making challenges every round.
Like coin flip at Final 5 now, guys.
Survivor becomes the challenge instead of eliminations, just who can make fire faster.
Exactly. Like, bruh. I hope by 50, like, production gets like the fans are like unhappy with forced fire making, and like I hope they like decide to get rid of it. I don't think they will, but I hope that they do, because I feel like it does take away, like, the point of the game is to vote people out, not to make fire. But sure, like, if it ties because you still have the vote. Like you're still doing the game, and then you're at a stalemate. Okay, now we have to do something. It's not okay. That makes sense. We do fire, but like they're taking away the vote, which is the premise of the game.
Mm-hmm. Jacob, is Devin Pinto's #1 fan? Had he won fire against Ben, would you be much more favorable of the fire making challenge?
No, I mean a little. I would be a little. The result of that season left a horrible taste in my mouth. But I still hate the president, especially that season. The fact that it was a surprise fire making challenge. I still hate the president of the fire making challenge. I still hate the format. I want the vote back. That's why I fell in love with Survivor. It's why I watch every season. The vote. Give me the vote back.
Jeff Probst, if you're watching, please, for Survivor 50, stop the forced fire making challenge.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with losing your votes. It's the same thing with a journey every episode. Like
Jeff Probst, if you're one of our 2 loyal viewers to the Spartans Have Spoken podcast, listen to the 3 of us, random college students, telling you what you should do, because we're experts, obviously.
for sure. So obviously, saying this, one of the biggest upsets in a while looked like the 2007 New York Giants beating Tom Brady and the Patriots. Ended up winning. I know Jacob got that reference.
I did.
Yeah,
was like, you guys are like 5 years old. How do you know the reference?
Essentially, Ava, to give you a little bit of update, Eli Manning and the Giants upset the undefeated New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, who are considered like the best team of all time. So,
Ava, how do you not know this?
Iconic.
I was 5 years old and I don't watch football. So
you didn't have a Super Bowl party with Howlerhead. You knew we weren't drinking at 5.
David's had the iconic helmet catch. So hey, stuff happens.
I'll just nod and agree.
Yeah, tough week for Vegas football fans, but hey, obviously, then we get a really emotional speech by Teeny explaining her position in the game and why she feels the way she feels. What did you think about Teeny's speech?
I love Teeny. They did not play a good game, so I can't be like, oh, they lost by making rats their chance for $1 million. Like they weren't gonna win. I'm like they weren't. But I love Teeny, and I feel bad that was the position that they were in, and that they like. I don't know what would have been worse, like losing in fire making or getting to the end and getting no votes, because they wouldn't have gotten any votes either. Compared to like, I feel like it would have been 0-0 with Sue and Teeny, compared to Rachel or Sam for that matter. Maybe not Sam. Maybe they would have gotten, like, Sue or Teeny would have gotten some votes against Sam. But nonetheless, I don't remember what I was saying. I love Teeny was, I guess, the point of my statement. But they did not play the best game. But I love them as a person. So that's all.
Jacob, what do you think?
Teeny's a great speaker. Every time Teeny speaks and has one of their emotional monologues, I'm very, very compelled by them. And Teeny did not play a good game, though. I would argue that Teeny played one of the worst games of the post-merge new era players, especially the Final Four players. Like, I do think Sue played a better game than Teeny. They just literally never was able to do anything right whatsoever. And even compared to almost a bunch of other new era players who were on the bottom, like a Jake, for example, like Teeny, it didn't seem like Teeny was trying or was as aware of their positioning. Teeny still seemed to have some hubris to think that they would have won if they got to Final 3, but that probably was not the case.
But there's always somebody, like I'm going to use Liz, for example, 46. Like somebody always goes out, like, and it especially like early merge is my biggest pet peeve when somebody goes out at like 8 or 9 and they're like, I would have won the game. I'm the best. And I'm like, well, no, you're not, because you got taken out. Like, I think the fire is a little bit different with like
Liz was able to pull off some moves. Liz was able to get out Tevin.
Yeah. But, like, I just like Liz.
Ava, you're referring to a certain person on this season?
No, not on. I wasn't. I was.
I'm sure you're not talking about Gabe.
Maybe a little bit, but I was thinking about like it always drives me crazy, like in like College Survivor or in orgs, when somebody goes out at like 8 and they're like, "I'm the best," and I can't believe you took me out. I would have won hands down. And I'm like, "There's like 8 other people in the game. Like, move on." That's like always my biggest like red flag. I can't stand it.
Is this still shade towards that season 5 player, Ava?
No.
Nearly, right?
No, it's not. It's shade towards a certain person in my mind who I played an org with. But I think it's just so silly when people do that. And it's a little bit more realistic at fire when you're like, oh, I lost in fire. Like you're one step away. Like I get it. But I feel like everyone who goes out in fire is like, I'm the best to never win. I'm fantastic. And half the time it's like, Tina, you weren't going to get any votes. Like Liz, you were like mediocre at best. Like, like I just think it's so funny and it drives me crazy when people do that, because I'm just like, how can you be so like wrapped in your own I'm better than everybody that you can't see through that like maybe you're not the best? I can't.
Yes. So mediocre at best is actually a perfect segue for our next game on the podcast. We play Is Teeny Better? I'm going to be giving 2 Survivor players. One is Teeny and one is another Survivor player. It's the game saying who's better, Teeny or the other player.
Yeah.
Let's start off. Teeny or Liz Wilcox?
Liz.
I'd say Liz is a better player, but I like Teeny a lot more. I didn't really like watching Liz.
I loved watching Liz.
Okay.
But Liz.
Liz.
Heather from Survivor 41 or Teeny?
I mean, people say that Heather had win equity. People said Heather could have won. We don't know it because we didn't see anything from Heather.
I haven't watched 41 since it aired, so I don't have that really in the front of my mind.
Romeo or Teeny?
I'm going Romeo. Romeo had a horrible post-merge, but Romeo ran the pre-merge.
Okay. Yeah. I'll pick Teeny.
I think Romeo had one or two good moments in the pre-merge. So
I'll give Teeny the W on that one just because I like them.
Right. This is a person that I like a lot, but Owen Knight or Teeny?
I feel like Owen.
Yeah, I would pick Owen. Owen had challenge. He was really good at challenges.
That's true.
He also, Teeny was on the more wrong side of the votes than Owen was, so I'll go with Owen.
Yeah.
Let's go with Teeny or Jake.
Jake, going Jake. Jake
I
tried so hard. Jake failed all the time, but he was trying to make the move almost every round. He had some good game sense.
I think Teeny was trying too. I don't think they had great game sense. I think they were trying. I think the problem was they didn't have good game sense. I really thought Jake's game was a flop. Also, to be honest, I liked it a lot. I think they're a tie. I think they're both very likable, good people who were not very good at Survivor. To be honest,
I know Teeny was trying. I'm not trying to say Teeny didn't try, but Teeny consistently decided to just be a vote in other people's plans like the entire time. Teeny was playing. Teeny was very likable, so you can give Teeny that. Like Teeny did have a decent social game. Teeny could have had maybe some relationships pay off for her in the end if they made like one or two moves.
Yeah.
I have a few callbacks here. We got Will Sims from Survivor Worlds Apart or Teeny.
Teeny. I hate Will. Maybe I'm just because I don't like Will, but Teeny. Did Will do anything in the game?
I don't remember.
Not really. A few things in the pre-merge, but you did get one vote.
Oh, that's true. From Rodney.
Oh yeah, I'll go with Teeny.
Teeny or Nora from Island of the Idols.
I haven't seen Island of the Idols since it aired, so I don't remember who that is.
Because I'll say Teeny because I don't think Nora ever wins a season.
Teeny or Christina Cha from One World?
Poor Christina. Christina Cha is a queen. She had to endure so much on that season, like so much, ostracization, so much bullying, and she always kept a smile on her face. It was so classy. I love Christina.
I'll go with Christina.
But Christina was also not a great player.
I got two more. Teeny or Philip Shepard?
I was gonna say Philip. I don't know.
Philip didn't do anything.
I think it's probably Teeny. I think like Nora. I don't think Philip ever wins.
I think Philip could win.
Philip annoys me greatly. Great entertainer, annoys me greatly. And I also feel like he was just there for the entertainment and not for the game, like to be good at the game. I mean, I think he was there to be good at the game, but I think he wasn't.
I mean, didn't he outwardly say that his strategy was to get second place to Boston Rob? Didn't he say that, or am I tweaking? Did he not say that?
No. I can go on Philip Shepard for a whole podcast. I'll be a
Me too.
Final one.
Yeah, go for it.
This one's a great one. We got Teeny or Lil from Pearl Islands.
I'm going Teeny. Lil got voted out like third.
Yeah, I'm dead.
Yeah, well, that was a great thing. I want to know what you two think. Do you think Jeff Probst likes Teeny?
Yeah, I think Jeff loves Teeny.
I think a little annoyed when he immediately switched the topic to I've never played Survivor. It just shows how hard it is. And I'm just like, okay.
Here's the thing.
You thought he was annoyed?
Yeah. He seemed annoyed.
You can only get so much. Here's my next qualm with the new era. Are we ready, ladies and gentlemen? I have another qualm. It would be the reunion show immediately after FTC. I think it's interesting. Perhaps we could do like a little commentary and then go to the regular reunion show because he's like, oh, well, it's great because you don't get influenced by anybody and like blah, blah, blah. It's raw emotions. Yeah, but then you have 0.0 seconds to think about anything and he's blasting you with questions and you're like Sue just lost $1 million. So did Sam. Like Rachel just won $1 million. Like you get those raw reactions, but like part of the appeal of the reunion was that people had gone back home, they had reintegrated in their life, and they had social media and they had like people's opinions, and I feel like that made it really interesting. And I think we're missing the pre-jury. Like the pre-jury is just like, bye, see you later. Like I wanted to see Annika back. Like no. Mm-hmm. Tiana, no, sorry, bye. Like
You missed Rome a lot, didn't you, Ava?
You missed
Rome
so
it was
much.
really tragic that I couldn't see Rome again.
I would have loved to see Asia on there.
Yeah, Asia, like all the girlies, I mean, were great. And John, I'm a big fan. But I feel like I have a lot of qualms with
Keyshawn. Do you like Keyshawn?
Oh, I like Keyshawn too, except Genevieve took him out, so like I got to take Genevieve's side on this. But I don't know what the original question was, but I just had to tell you how much I hate the reunion show. And I think Ryan's original question, circling back, I think there's only so much you can get out of it because it's like jammed into like 15 minutes right after. Like I think it's hard to tell what anybody thinks of anybody because it's like, oh, blam, and then like Genevieve's talking about the game, which we know, and like people are answering questions that are like silly. I'm like, this was not a good use of our time. Like we want to see everybody back. It was silly to me this year.
Let's go back to the reunion a little bit. Let's talk about Final Tribal Councils. So obviously the three of them get their classic Survivor breakfast. Then we have a side-by-side from all the jury members telling them what they think of the finalists. What did you two think about that?
Oh, I loved that. It was fabulous.
Good. All I remember.
One major issue with it.
Go. What is it?
I thought it was so obvious to tell who was gonna vote for who. I knew Sue had no chance after that at all.
Well, that's obvious, but they made it so that it was between Rachel and Sam.
Yeah, pretty much.
But all I remember is like in the middle of that breakfast, they do a close-up shot. I think it was Kyle's face first, where the jury's faces are like right in front of the camera. And I was like, oh my god! Like I thought the channel switched to like a horror movie for a second. I got a jump scare. It was like they'd never done it. They were like at the camera. I don't know why.
I loved it because here's the thing: we don't get rites of passage anymore.
Yeah, no, it was fun though. You're right.
Like whatever, I can only complain so much about the new era. But it gives like some sort of insight, like gets the people who were eliminated like a little bit of like gusto in the last episode because we're about to see them at FTC. I really liked it. I thought it was really like I think the shots are kind of silly of them all like sitting there. But I think it's fun. I really enjoyed hearing everybody's thoughts. I do think it comes to be a problem a little bit with like how much it's kind of showing who has the best chance to win. I think they could give a little bit more wide range commentary instead of about one person, but I think in concept, I'm a fan.
Yeah, for sure. I will say it was a little obvious to know who was going to vote for who, but we get into a very intense Final Tribal. Sam killed it. Honestly, I was really impressed.
Yeah, he done a great Final Tribal. I think that the finale went about as excitingly as it could have after Rachel won immunity. Rachel winning immunity, I was like, all right, Rachel's got this in the bag now. But Sam with that fire making challenge and Sam with the incredible Final Tribal made it at least somewhat exciting. I thought Sam was going to come away with like 2 or 3 votes.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. So, but I did think Rachel was going to win the whole time. I remember thinking that there was still a hole in Sam's arguments, but now I'm kind of blanking. I don't remember. I remember thinking that Sam should have brought something else up. I don't remember now.
One thing.
Oh, go ahead, Ava.
I was going to say my trajectory with Sam throughout the season. At the very beginning of the season, I thought he was annoying and arrogant, as I do with most men. And then a couple episodes in, I really liked Sam. And I was like, wow, like once he was on the bottom, like I really enjoyed him. I really enjoyed him with Genevieve and Kyle, blah, blah. Then this episode, I felt like he was annoying and arrogant again. Like I know it was Final Tribal Council, so you have to be, but I feel like it was a little bit like instead of explaining his game, he was just knocking on Rachel, which I think was not the best move for him to win. So I was like, why is he doing that? But yeah, I found him a little bit arrogant this episode, which like it's again, you have to talk about your game, but I feel like even when he wasn't in front of the jury talking about his game, like in confessional and stuff, I'm like, do you really think that? Or are you putting on a show for the camera? Which always annoys me, but yeah. I digress. I'm glad
I will say I'm actually really impressed with what Sam did. I think Sam knew he was kind of screwed from the start of it. I think Rachel I think it was a very close battle. I don't think it's one of the closer battles we've seen. I don't think it's like Survivor China Good, but I think it's one of the more intense Final 2 we've seen in a while. What I give Sam credit for is him just owning up to his game. He highlighted the fact he voted. His name was targeted a lot, but like didn't win a single immunity challenge. Didn't have to play an idol. He talked about the fact he had almost a perfect voting record. He did so much really well. So it gives him a lot of credit for it. But I think Rachel just played a better game at the end of the day. Though I do criticize Rachel. Why not mention the Shot in the Dark? Like, why not?
Well, Rachel said that it was because she didn't even think of it as like this big move that would impress the jury at the moment. which I kind of understand a little bit. Like if I was at Final Tribal, I would be nervous to bring up moves that I don't think would be receptive to the jury, because if you bring up something, then you are the one who's sounding arrogant if the jury's not going to be receptive. Like I could picture people on the jury being like, "Oh, so what? You played the shot in the dark. Like you're gonna really claim that you're the best player because you played shot in the dark." And there's going to be people on the jury who are always going to be bitter and are going to be thinking of themselves first and be kind of, not receptive to that kind of stuff. But looking back on it, like the move was so clever that it probably would have worked.
Yeah, I don't remember who said it. Gabe maybe was like, "Oh, tell me something about your game that will really impress me that I don't know." Maybe it was Andy. I don't know. It was one of the guys. I feel like that would have been the moment for her to say, "This is why I played the shot in the dark here." I mean, like, I think that would have been the opportunity to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I will say I do think she handled the jury very well. I think she focused on her strengths, not the weaknesses. I think she knew she was on the bottom for a lot of the game, but using that, putting it in a really close way, in the really particular way, to show that she was really aware of what she was doing, was really receptive to the jury. Though I still think Sam did a better job, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think he did a good job for somebody who had a worse game than her, but like, I don't think he did a better job.
And never in a million years should Sam have won the game, but I do think he had a better Final Tribal because he was in a worse position and argued.
I agree with that.
He did his best argument that he could have. If I were Sam, I remember when Rachel says, like, Rachel starts out her Final Tribal by being like, "I was on the bottom," and as somebody who's on the bottom, I'm the one who like scraped my way to the top. And if I was Sam, I would have been like, she was on the bottom because of me. Like I was the one who was on top, and I put her on the bottom, and then I was the one who was actually on the bottom at the merge, because at that time it was Sam who was like really on the bottom. Not saying this argument would have worked by any means, but Sam could have been like, I was the one who was on the bottom where it actually mattered, and was able to pull some over on Rachel. Like I don't think Sam mentioned, at least that we saw, any of the times where he was actually in on the votes where Rachel wasn't. Actually, I guess that's only in the pre-merge and Operation Italy, which again weren't really Sam's moves to begin with, but they were still something that he could have brought up to argue. Yeah.
He had some control in the pre-merge. I will say this, though. I think the most important part of the episode was good old Sue mentioned he was 59.
When Sue was like gearing up to say that, I was actually about to like turn off the TV. I was like, this is gonna be so cringy. Everybody's just gonna sit there, and they did. They just sat there and looked at it with a blank stare on their face. Except for who? Sam?
Sam had the biggest reaction of anyone in the cast.
Sam was like,
Sam was like, what? No way. Everyone else was just like,
yeah.
Okay.
And maybe that hurt. That's why Sam lost. Sam, everyone was like, how were you surprised that Sue's not 45?
Look, I'm sorry. Sue does not look 45, and the dirt that was all over her face the entire season did not help.
Just because she's a pilot does not mean she could fly her way to winning the game.
She got I felt bad though. Like, I'm sure it was the edit too, but like, it seemed like nobody was talking to her at FTC. Like, she was just like sitting there. She said like a couple things. Everybody was talking to Rachel and Sam.
Ever since her finding the idol, she was just a non-entity the entire season.
Unfortunately.
And I think as far as an older woman playing Survivor goes, she wasn't even that bad. She didn't do anything, but she did, like, I think she played a better game than Teeny. Like, she was in on votes. She had the idol. I do think, like, she ended up, but, like, in terms of her making moves and her edit, like, what are you going to show up to? Like, probably absolutely nothing.
Ava, you bring up a really interesting point. There's a lot of talk at this episode that we've had a zero vote finalist for every season since Survivor 35 HHH. Do we think we need a final two again?
I hope so. Sorry, I'm trying to find somebody commented it and I'm trying to put it up. There we go. What was the question? Oh, back to final two. I mean, I think it depends. I think that kind of going back to what we were talking about like big threats and like being targeted earlier in the episode. Like, I think that somebody's always going to get dragged to the end as a GOAT. And the bigger players like Sam or Rachel or Genevieve are going to pick somebody like Sue or Teeny who they know they can beat and try and drag them to the end. So I think even if we got a final two, like 9 times out of 10, like if there is a really dominant player like Rachel, like Dee, they're going to take somebody who they know they can beat. So I don't think we'll get as many 0 vote finalists if there's only 2 options because people are bitter or whatever. But I think you would still get the like very dominant person like Rachel and the very mediocre game player like Sue sitting at the end, even if you did do a final two. I mean, maybe not. I think it would like help a little bit, but I'm a fan of a final three personally. That's just like I'm okay with either, honestly.
Yeah, I mean the last two final twos in Survivor, the second place got 1 vote and 0 votes. So it is pretty, at least, I mean, those were a long time ago. So maybe it'll be different now. But I kind of agree with Ava where it wouldn't change too much in terms of like making a really exciting final tribal. But I do think it's better because I do prefer the final two slightly more because I think it requires just obviously a little bit more gameplay in order to get there in the first place. And it's just less of an opportunity for another goat to be there. Like, for example, this time it could have been Sue and Teeny very easily. Or in the new era, we've had a lot of 2 goats sitting there with one person who gets all the votes. Or at least this time around, like one of them could be voted out and it's just one of them sitting there. You know what I mean?
Would we get rid of forced fire ranking if we came to a final two? Because if that was the case, I'm in support.
Yeah, I think you would have to. If you went to a final two, I think you would have to it wouldn't make any sense to have an automatic fire and then have another vote after that.
That'd be ridiculous.
I will say this: Jeff seemed open to final twos for Survivor 50, so we'll see.
Yeah,
50 would be an interesting choice to do the final two. I think you would have to make the transition after 50, in my opinion.
Let's play game of hypotheticals. If it's the final two of the season, do we think Sue would get a vote?
Against who?
Either Sam or Rachel.
Against Sam, I think yes. Against Rachel, I would say no. Against Teeny, I would say yes, if we're talking final four.
Who do we think would vote for Sue in each scenario? Let's start with Sam. Sam, Sue, who votes for Sue?
Caroline, probably.
Yeah, maybe Teeny. Teeny might vote for Sue or Teeny, maybe Caroline, maybe Gabe. I think that in all scenarios, Sue gets like 1 vote because there are people on the jury who are like, let me get somebody a vote. Like even this time around, Kyle said he voted for Sam because he wanted Sam to get second place.
Yeah, he didn't. He wanted Sue to get 3rd place. Actually, I think is more what was going on in his mind. But you, Kyle.
Who would have thought Kyle and Reed from Survivor Sam One Del Sur would be in the same company?
I don't know. I also like when Sue brought up Tweedledee Dum at Final Tribal.
Yeah, Rome is not happy with that comment.
All right, well, Sue versus Rachel. You think Sue gets no votes?
I don't think Sue would get a vote.
I don't think so either because the only person who voted for Sam was Kyle, and Kyle just wanted to see Sue lose. So why would he vote for Sue?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk though about Sue versus Teeny. Who wins?
It's a good question. It's a really good question.
Let's go through each jury. Let's start with Sierra.
It's so tough because the jury would either think, oh, like the jury probably had better in-game loyalty relationships to Sue, but I don't think they respected Sue's game at all because I think Sue just sat there, you know. I don't know.
They respect her game more than Teeny.
So did Teeny though.
Teeny, yeah, you're right. Teeny, I guess Teeny was just more like social and charismatic, so maybe they were like, oh, it just like Teeny comes off as playing the game harder. You know what I mean?
Who knows? Between the two of them, I have no idea.
I think Sierra votes for Teeny there. I think Sierra like Teeny, right?
Maybe they abstain.
I think Soul votes for Teeny.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
We think Gabe votes for Sue.
Yeah.
I think Gabe and Caroline vote for Sue for sure. I guess Kyle still votes for Teeny. Maybe Teeny does win, and I was harping on Teeny too much earlier.
Right. But okay, who would Andy vote for Sue or Teeny?
Andy flips a coin.
Yeah, I think Andy would actually lean towards Sue.
I think Genevieve would be Teeny.
Maybe.
Genevieve would Genevieve would vote for whoever explained their game better, I feel like. And between the two of them, I don't know who would explain their game better.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rachel votes for Sue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think, who do you think Sam votes for?
No idea. Sam, like, what criteria do they even have to base it off of? Like, Sam would probably vote for. Yeah, he would ask a stupid question, flip a coin like Andy.
Yeah, for sure.
He'd be the one who asked what they would do with the money and then voted based on that. That would be Sam.
Love the Maria shade on the podcast. One thing I want to bring up. It's been a while now since we've had speeches on Survivor. Bring speeches back.
Yes!
When Ava was ranting about the reunion, I was about to bring that up. I want the speeches back. It's so much more fun. It's so much more fun.
Tribals were iconic because of speeches. Snakes and Rats, Eric Cardona's speech, Corinne going off on Sugar, going off on Tony and Cagayan, Reed going off on Missy and Sin Mundo Sir. We want speeches back. I think the reason why Jeff had this method in play was to get rid of bitter juries as much as possible and them to like focus more on the gameplay. I think it takes away a big part of survival being this social experiment. This game is based on your interactions with other human beings. You're gonna have people get so pissed off with one another they want to cuss someone out in a speech. Give them the chance. I also think better answers, speeches.
They also got rid of, like, originally when they switched it in Game Changers or whatever, it was like, oh, we're going to ask questions based on a win out, play it last. That's gone out the window. They asked like 5 questions. It was kind of convoluted and confusing, personally, especially this one. Like, we still do speeches for Survivor MSU, and I think, like, it makes for such an entertaining, I was like, I'm thinking about my speech. It made for such an entertaining tribal, like, because you get everybody, like, whether somebody comes up there and is like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, you all suck, I played better, like, that still brings something to the table, and it makes, like, they still gotta vote for somebody. You can't be like, I don't know, I'm gonna vote for anybody. Like, they still have to plead their case, and I think it makes it more interesting because it shows, like, what each juror is valuing in how they're voting, and it's less like, oh, we're like one big sea of people asking 5 like mediocre questions about gameplay. I bring back the speeches, please.
I agree. Yeah.
So, Jeff.
Yeah. So today, Rachel ends up winning 7-1-0 yet again. 7-1 back.
Yep.
Are we cursed?
What was that?
Are we cursed? 7-1 yet again.
Why is that? Why is it always 7-1?
It's been 5-3 twice. The rest have been 7-1, right?
Everyone wants to throw a hinky vote.
Yeah. I will say, I thought Sam would have got Sierra's vote. I could have seen Sam getting a few other people's votes. I thought Genevieve considered it. I thought
Gabe. I thought Gabe was considering it. Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, it's just that we were edited to make it seem like it was closer, and that Sam played a better game compared to Rachel than it actually was.
Yeah. I mean, they can't just make it seem like, oh, why would I watch the final episode if I knew Rachel was going to win? I'll just speed through all the...
Yeah. And, I mean, that's maybe I don't know if you brought that up, Ryan. Maybe I didn't hear you, but that's maybe another reason why the final tribal format is the way it is, where, like, juries giving their speech makes it, like, 100 times more obvious who they're voting for.
That's true. At that point, like, we're gonna find out in a couple minutes anyway. Like,
trust me, I want the speeches back too, but I guess in a producer mindset, maybe they're thinking that way. I don't know.
Though we've also seen people like last season make it very obvious they're going to vote for certain people. Obviously, Q and Tiffany definitely did that with Kenzie. So, so 7-1-0 vote yet again. Then we go into the reunion, which I'm telling you,
the reunion was so bad.
It was terrible.
That was so cringy. Like, come on, Probes.
That was the worst reunion I think of all time.
It was so bad. Like, especially this time, it was like Jeff asked like very mediocre questions. Like, what did he asked Genevieve how to make a blindside? Like,
is that what he asked you? I don't even remember. That's how I didn't care about
it. A blindside, because she was like, I think it's about like not playing from the top always. Has anybody here, like, I could like restate the whole reunion. It was so like convoluted, like choppy. I feel like, he asked like really odd questions, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Here's my biggest issue with the reunion. This happens 5-10 minutes after they announce Rachel's winner.
I know, yeah. Well, right after Jeff says to the camera, "We got pizza and champagne," as they're all hugging each other.
Sue and Sam are traumatized, losing $1 million and forced to speak about their game because they are required to by contract, while eating pizza and champagne to kind of numb the pain. Why not? Wait. If you want to save money, do it on location.
Do it the next day for all I care. Like, bring back the pre-jury, do it in a couple days. Like, I don't know necessarily that I want
24 hours
to take back the live reading of the votes. I don't mind that so much that they read the votes at FTC as opposed to reading the votes at the reunion like many months later. I think it's fine to read the votes there, but I think having the reunion right there doesn't work.
Literally, give them time to take a deep breath, eat, shower.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how bad they smell to the other contestants.
That's the thing. I bet so many. I know if I lost and was sitting there, I would want to flip off Jeff so bad, but they wouldn't. But then they'd probably like give me a horrible edit and then never invite me back. So I can't do that.
Oh, Cassie had a really bad experience. Romeo had a really bad experience, I believe. I think Deshaun was struggling. Like, focus on mental health. Like, literally, give them the time.
It also just doesn't make for good TV. It was boring. I was like, what am I even watching right now? Like, next.
Like, I prefer them reading the votes a few months later on a live show too, because it just like it builds up the moment. Like, it makes everything a little more intense and exciting for me.
Yeah, that's true.
I love the jet ski also from Survivor. That was
God, yeah. Him skydiving.
Take it back.
He's too old now. He's too old. But oh my God. There's a video of Jeff at like some sort of tennis match shaking off. That guy is jacked. Oh my God, he's ripped.
Listen, with all the free time on Ponderosa, the guy loves to work out.
Yeah. I mean, even I can say. Good job, Jeff.
Hey, if you tell that's him in your audition video, it might help you get casted.
Oh yeah, we'll see. I don't. Yeah, just 3 minutes of me talking about how sexy Jeff is.
He's gonna love that so much.
I'm dead.
So obviously that was the episode. That's the season. Let's play a little game. Let's talk about this whole season as a whole.
Yes, that's what
I'm gonna let each of us decide a word between people in the cast. Okay.
What was it?
What?
I'm gonna give you guys a superlative.
Oh, okay.
Choose someone on the cast that should get that superlative. Does that make sense?
Love superlatives.
Yeah.
First question: how many superlatives did I win in high school?
Was it like 4 or 3 or something?
I'm gonna say, wow, 5.
Higher than 7? 11.
9. How many kids were at your high school?
360 were in my graduating class.
I got 1 who's most likely to be on a reality show, and I think that fits.
Wow, you got that one?
I'm playing like a Christmas mini right now, and we just did superlatives, and I got who's most likely to spike the Christmas punch. And I was like, wow, we did really set a college student.
Ava, if we do that in Survivor Miss, I do not think you would have got that.
Yeah, no, yeah, for Survivor Miss, you not at all.
I played Survivor with this girl. She is like a party animal now ever since I left. What the hell happened?
Everything changes. You can find her at Duck Night on your local Monday night. But yeah.
One Duck Night, and now I'm known for my one Duck Night appearance.
To clarify, I was also yearbook editor in high school, so anyone could not choose someone for an award. They chose me, so
nice.
I won most likely to break a world record just because no one could think of anyone else about for that.
You would though.
I won most excited for college, most school spirit, best smile. What else did I win? Most likely to host a late night talk show.
Tracks.
All right, let's do superlatives for Survivor.
Let's go with who was the MVP of the season?
Genevieve.
Andy.
No, Genevieve.
Who said Andy?
I think it's Rachel.
You think it's who?
Rachel.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair.
I'm going with Genevieve.
It's so Andy. You're so wrong. And both of you are so wrong.
No.
I will give the one I'm going to do right now. I think Andy gets this. Most likely return for Survivor 50.
Genevieve.
I think it's Andy.
It's Andy, bro. It's Andy.
Better be Genevieve. If Andy comes back and Genevieve is not on that beach for Survivor 50,
He's not the star of 47. He's the star of the new era. Andy
is the
star of the new era.
he deserves a spot on 50. So does Genevieve.
I agree. I would love to see Genevieve back too.
Most robbed pre-juror.
Tiana.
Asia.
I mean Asia, yeah, but I think Tiana was.
Yeah. Other than TK, I would say they're all pretty robbed in their own aspects.
I was going to say, I just cannot justify Asia getting out for being right about Rome. Like, come on.
I know.
I might have to go with John here for being voted out instead of Andy on that first vote.
Least likely to come back for 50.
Rome after the leaking the cast or leaking the boot order. Good lord.
Other than Rome, it's probably Sue. Right?
I think the answer is Rome and TK. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, Rome. Definitely not TK, obviously.
Right. Most underrated player.
Caroline.
That's a good answer.
Caroline also.
Good answer. Probably Caroline.
Best confessionals.
Andy.
I would give that to Andy. Or yeah, Andy.
I'm
I was
gonna
gonna say Saul, and we just got somebody say Saul in the comments for that.
Hey, Chelsea's a Saul fan. I love Saul. I wouldn't say Saul's best part was his confessionals though.
Yeah, I think Andy gets best confessionals.
I'm gonna give it to Sam. I think he is just a natural good speaker. He is the most.
He's a good speaker, but we have someone like that every season who's just a good speaker.
I will say this: he is a podcast host for the Tennessee Titans. He knows how to talk. I think he's
like the football.
Not only do I think he's a front runner, this will be great for the next superlative.
Yeah,
most likely to co-host the On Fire podcast. Sam.
Sam's a good answer. I think I'm gonna go with Rachel. Actually, I'm gonna go with Rachel though.
I wanted to be a girly, but I think Sam is probably most likely, or Andy. But I'd love to see Genevieve or Rachel.
John. They might just get John because of
John.
Would John want to do it though?
No.
I miss John. Probably not.
Would John come back? Would they invite John back for 50?
Not for 50, but I could see him getting invited back at some point.
First season where he gets ousted by Jelinski. Jelinski takes him out. We still need Jelinski on this podcast.
We were promised Jelinski on this podcast.
I will work. I kind of forgot, but I will work on it. John Jelinski, final 2 of the first boot season.
Right. Jelinski might be great for our second chance to draft podcast coming up in a few weeks. Let's go with best move of the season.
Operation Italy, baby.
I think it has to be Operation Italy.
Okay. Let's go with most underrated move of the season.
I think Rachel playing her shot in the dark.
Underrated move of the season. I would say, well, that was underrated from the game, but like I feel like as viewers, we all rated it fairly. I would say underrated. Oh, you know what's really underrated is after I was gonna say Genevieve or Keyshawn was my first thought. Taking out Keyshawn, that was such a good pre-merge move. That might have been the best pre-merge move we've seen in a really long time. I was thinking after Operation Italy, the ability to lie to Teeny and say that the 3 of them were just like did it on a whim and got lucky, and for Teeny to believe them, I thought that was fantastic.
That was crazy.
Well, I have 2 answers. The first one is Sue lying about her age.
Okay, yeah.
Second, Rachel sneaking up on the 4.
Yeah.
I think now that people talk about that, that was some Tony Vacos in her. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's honestly surprising that at night people don't do that more often. I guess it's just that hard to see. You don't want to like trip over anything, but fuck, I'm on Survivor. Like I would 100% do that.
100%.
Hopefully, nobody watching this out of like 2 people will ever play Survivor with me because I give up too much of my strategy.
Yeah.
No. A throwback to season 3 when Matthew Metric tried spying on someone who immediately went behind me did not see. That
was me. I was recording it. That was the funniest. Poor Metro.
Like, this is not a spoiler. He was trying to spy on somebody after challenge.
He was trying to spy on Anna. And
they went the other way, and he did not realize that, so he kept on looking.
That was fun. That was awesome.
Let's go with the best reward.
Best reward?
They're all like mid, I feel like.
All I remember rewards are the Italian food.
Me too.
What else were the other rewards?
Loved one letters was good. The one.
Yeah, that was the same night though.
Oh, was that the same one?
Yeah.
Oh. Then that one.
Yeah. What were the other rewards, Ryan? You meant what the
like a steak. They have like some healthy food.
Not the hot dogs.
The classic Survivor hot dog.
Oh my god.
Anything with hot.
Yeah.
You don't want that Survivor glizzy.
Let's go with the most annoying contestant.
Rome.
Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
All right. Then let's just end with like one word answer. If you could describe the season in one word, how would you describe it?
Andy.
I was gonna say Genevieve.
No.
A non-player describe the season.
No, Genevieve was the queen of this season. I will die on that hill.
Without saying Genevieve, how would you describe the season in one word?
Whimsical.
Whimsical. I'm dead.
Whimsical. That was my emotion, at least.
I don't know. I'm looking for a word that's like this is many words, but like under the radar. I feel like a lot of people like Rachel was very under the radar. Like that. I'm looking for a one word summary of that phrase. I don't know what it would be.
Stealthy.
Stealthy. A season was stealthy.
This season was stealthy.
Good word.
What's the word that you got, Ryan?
Stealthy.
Let's go with a few things. I'm gonna go with several because it brought several things.
Cool.
Survivor 47.
That's good. That's good.
Well, that concludes our coverage of Survivor 47. A lot of fun podcasts coming up. We have a season tier ranking one, a Second Chance 2 draft podcast. Might cover some other reality shows, but until then, thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.